Hey guys, today we're stepping into the medieval world, where nights were long, homes were dim, and sleep was treated as both medicine and faith. You are inside a small timber house at dusk, where smoke drifts through the thatch and the last bell fades over the fields. The family moves with quiet purpose, preparing not just for rest, but for protection. Before we begin, let us know your location and what's keeping you awake tonight. The day's work is finished. Your hands ache from carrying wood, your back still warm from the fire's last labor. The air outside cools quickly, and you can feel it slipping through the door cracks. Shadows rise along the walls as if the house itself were breathing. Someone stirs the pot by the hearth, its scent filling the room. Your mother lowers the wooden beam across the door. The sound is heavy, final. The house is now sealed against night. You move closer to the fire, drawn to its small warmth. Smoke curls upward, tracing invisible lines in the air. Outside, the world fades to black. Inside, only the orange light remains. Straw rustles beneath your feet as you cross the floor. The air smells of wool, salt, and ash. You hear the low crack of drying wood, the hiss of something settling deeper into the fire. The sounds calm you. They are familiar, the same each night, like an old song repeated until it feels like silence. Your father checks the shutter latch. The dog circles twice before lying down near the threshold. The family moves together without speaking, each person knowing their small part in the nightly ritual. The younger children whisper a prayer, their voices soft and uncertain. The rhythm of it settles everyone. Even the air seems to listen. Your mother folds the blanket near the fire. Her hands are slow, practiced. She shakes out bits of straw and dust, then smooths the fabric with her palms. The cloth holds heat from the day. She glances at you, nodding once, and you know it's time to lie down. The night has begun. You settle beside your family, shoulder against shoulder. The straw beneath you creaks but feels alive with warmth. Above, the roof beams groan as if echoing your breath. The fire's glow flickers across your face, dimming with each gust of wind. Sleep waits somewhere nearby, patient and heavy. The air cools, the world narrows to sound and scent. You hear the dog's steady breathing, the small pop of a coal, your own heart keeping time. The room darkens until faces vanish, replaced by shapes of light. You close your eyes and feel the slow pull downward. The first sleep begins. Outside, frost creeps across the ground. Inside, warmth holds its fragile border. You dream without images at first, only the memory of motion, the swing of the axe, the turning of soil, the rhythm of your own labor. Then color returns, faint and scattered, like sparks beneath ash. The fire shifts. Someone turns beside you. You wake briefly, unsure whether minutes or hours have passed. The air feels colder, though the coals still glow. You lie still, listening for the familiar creak of wood and whisper of wind. The first sleep has ended. The house rests in silence. You lie awake in the dark, hearing the room breathe. The fire has sunk low, its glow like the eye of an animal half asleep. This is the waking between sleeps, the quiet hour no one fears. You stretch your fingers toward the embers and feel their slow warmth. The air tastes faintly of ash. Someone stirs near the hearth. They rise without sound, tending the coals so the flame will live till dawn. You listen, waiting for the small scrape of iron on stone. The noise arrives, soft and perfect, followed by the whisper of smoke curling back into place. The family will not speak. Words belong to daylight. These hours are made for stillness and thought. You hear your father shift his weight, perhaps praying. Your mother's breath moves steadily, each exhale a small surrender. The world outside is frozen, the fields glittering under starlight. Sometimes you imagine hearing bells from faraway monasteries, though the wind might be tricking you. The sound comforts you either way. You roll onto your right side as you were taught. It keeps the heart high and safe, the body aligned for grace. Lying this way feels like faith made visible. Your hand touches the wooden cross carved into the wall. Its surface is worn smooth. You think of the prayer whispered every night. Upon my right side I me lay. The words feel older than language, closer to breathing than to speech. You begin to murmur them, lips barely moving. The rhythm slows your thoughts. Somewhere beyond the wall, the dog growls softly and then quiets. No threat, only dream. You stare into the dark, tracing faint shapes made by the coals. Sleep does not come quickly now. This hour is meant for reflection, for soft work. Some nights you mend small things, a torn sleeve, a broken strap. Other nights you simply think, sorting the day into pieces. What went well, what did not. The healer says, such waking cleans the mind the way washing cleans the hands. You believe her. Your body is calm, neither fully awake nor asleep. It floats between the two states like a boat waiting for tide. Thoughts move slower here, unhurried, kind. You remember the words your mother once said when you asked why people wake at midnight. Because the soul needs air, she answered. Lying here now, you understand. The air feels different, clearer, cooler, filled with meaning that disappears by dawn. You listen again to the house. Every sound has a place. The rushes shift, the fire hums, the wood contracts. Nothing surprises you. Time itself seems gentler. In the villages nearby, bells ring for matins, calling monks to prayer. Their chanting will fill the dark hours until first light. You imagine their voices carrying through cold air like smoke, rising and fading together. It feels right that someone somewhere prays while others sleep. The balance keeps the world steady. You close your eyes, breathing slowly, matching the rhythm of your father's breath. He exhales through his nose, a sound like wind under doorways. You follow it, counting the spaces between. Slowly, warmth gathers again behind your eyes. You don't fight it. The second sleep waits patiently. You surrender, still half aware of the world but already leaving it. The embers blur into color, then disappear. Darkness folds over you like wool. Somewhere above the roof the sky begins to pale, but you will not see it until morning. The house, the field, the world itself, all rest inside the same rhythm. The night's second half belongs to dreams. They come slowly, shaped by memory, and vanish before you can hold them. You wake in full light now, but the habits that carried you through the night still guide your body. The air inside your home smells of ash, wool, and cooling bread. Morning has come, yet you still feel the night's rhythm beneath your skin, the sense that sleep was more than rest. It was a passage, one protected by ritual. When evening returns, those same rituals will unfold again. Every gesture has purpose, born from fear of what the night once represented. Sleep, to the medieval mind, was not harmless. It resembled death too closely. When eyes closed, the soul wandered, vulnerable to dreams, demons, or disease. Protection began not with sleep itself, but with preparation. You've watched your mother set the pattern each night. She lays her hand across the bed's center beam and whispers the evening psalm. The rhythm never changes. Prayer first, cleansing second, protection last. The ritual repeats for everyone in the house, no matter their age or health. Each motion feels practiced, old as the walls themselves. The first step is purification. Before sleep, hands are washed, not for cleanliness alone, but for sanctity. Water is drawn fresh, blessed if possible, and kept in a small bowl near the hearth. You dip your fingers in it and touch brow, lips, and heart, signs of cleansing thought, word, and feeling. The act steadies you. Water carries memory and calm, linking the day's work to the night's peace. Next comes arrangement. The bed is not furniture, it is sanctuary. You smooth the straw tick with deliberate strokes, cross the blanket's corners, and shake out the folds where air might chill the body. You lay the pillow flat, for raised pillows invite breath trouble. The preparation feels slow, but repetition brings order, and order is safety. Above the lintel hangs your small bundle of herbs. It changes with the seasons. Violet and sage in spring, rosemary and rue in summer, hyssop in autumn, pine and mint in winter. Each holds a meaning. Violet soothes dreams, sage drives away pestilence. Rosemary protects memory, and pine blesses the air. When you touch the dry stems, the scent reminds you that protection can be quiet. You sprinkle a pinch of salt on the floor near the doorframe. It's a habit passed from your grandmother. Salt keeps evil from crossing thresholds, she said, but also keeps the floor dry through the night. Faith and practicality meet often in homes like yours. You don't separate one from the other. Before the fire is banked, your father always makes the sign of the cross above the hearth. The gesture claims the flame for God before darkness takes it. Fire is holy, but unguarded flame tempts spirits of mischief. Banking it properly, coals covered, no open spark, is both devotion and survival. You watch him each night, knowing the act carries the weight of generations. Once the house is darkened, you move through smaller rituals, touching wood before lying down, whispering a line from the gospel, tracing a cross over your chest. These gestures don't feel like superstition. They feel like habit, stitched into the body through repetition. Each one tells the mind that danger is accounted for, that no harm has been forgotten. In noble houses, rituals grow elaborate. Servants warm beds with heated stones and scatter lavender between the sheets. Candles are snuffed in a precise order, and a priest may pass through, blessing each chamber. In poor homes like yours, the gestures are simpler but no less meaningful. The difference lies in form, not faith. Your mother insists on the right side posture. "Upon my right side I me lay," she always says. The right side honors divine creation. The left invites temptation. The habit is so old that no one remembers its origin, only its necessity. You follow without question. The body learns what the heart believes. Once in bed, each member of your family crosses themselves one last time. It's a small motion, almost invisible in the dark. Then comes silence, the most sacred part of the ritual. Words stop, movement stops, and the room settles into its nightly stillness. That stillness is not absence. It's the final act of trust. Holy objects near the bed carry their own power. A small cross carved from oak lies beneath your pillow. A scrap of parchment with the Lord's Prayer rests in a wooden box by your side. Your father keeps a thin iron nail wrapped in cloth under his mattress. Some say iron wards off spirits. Whether that's true or not, no one sleeps without it. Above the bed, a branch of dried juniper hangs tied with red thread. The colour draws the eye even in darkness, and people believe it confuses wandering souls. Each winter, the branch is replaced during Candlemas, when old greenery is burned and new blessings are spoken. Rituals are circular, like sleep. They begin again to hold time in place. Not all protection is spiritual. Practical knowledge lives alongside prayer. Your father places a small wedge of wood under the door bar so it cannot rattle in the wind. The sound of a loose latch could startle the household awake, stirring fears of thieves or worse. Silence is precious. Keeping it intact is its own form of prayer. Before the youngest child sleeps, your mother dips her finger in holy water and touches his brow. She whispers the same line each night. "May your guardian stand at your feet." The words are old enough that no one knows their origin, but everyone knows their comfort. The gesture finishes the circle. From door to bed to child, the whole house is sealed against harm. The moment before sleep holds power. In that breath between prayer and dreaming, the mind lets go. You listen to the coals sighing under ash. The sound is faint but steady. You close your eyes and picture the crosses drawn in water around the bedposts. The image feels protective, not imagined. In the medieval world, belief creates its own truth. In some regions, people scatter holy herbs under the mattress. Others sew charms into pillow corners, small symbols cut from parchment or embroidered in thread. One common phrase reads, "Jesus defend us in slumber." The charm lies unseen, yet its presence anchors the room. You have one stitched into the hem of your pillowcase. You never touch it. You don't need to. Dreams carry their own protection too. Before lying down, you repeat a short prayer. "If I die before I wake." The words sound stark, but their intent is peace. Sleep and death share a doorway. and faith promises safe passage through both. Saying those words keeps that doorway watched. The Church reminds believers that even sleep can be an act of devotion. Rest taken with humility pleases God. Rest taken in idleness offends Him. That's why your prayers end with gratitude for work done and forgiveness for words spoken in haste. The soul must be clean before it drifts. The same way hands are washed, hearts are washed too. Sometimes you forget a step, skip the salt, leave the herbs untouched, and the night feels different. Not dangerous, but incomplete, like an unclosed door. When that happens, you wake uneasy, as if something small but important was left undone. These rituals are not superstition anymore. They're the architecture of calm. Your father once said that protection is not about keeping darkness out. It's about reminding yourself that light returns. The words stayed with you. Each line of prayer, each gesture with water or herb, is a promise that morning will come. In a world ruled by uncertainty, that promise means everything. When travelers stay the night, they notice these customs. Some call them strange, others comforting. A merchant once slept in your house and asked why you turned all faces east before lying down. Your father told him, "So our dreams know where dawn will come from." The merchant had no answer. He slept well that night. The rituals survive because they work, not through proof, but through peace. When you follow them, the night feels shaped rather than endless. The mind accepts its limits. Fear loses ground. The body, convinced of its safety, gives itself freely to rest. Each time the house repeats the sequence: wash, bless, arrange, pray, lie down. It adds another layer of certainty. The repetition builds a wall stronger than stone. You've learned that faith, routine, and patience create a kind of armor that no weapon could replace. Now, as you think of the coming night, you can almost feel the pattern already unfolding. The slow washing of hands, the sound of water touching wood, the scent of rosemary above the door, the low murmur of the psalm. These are not decorations to the night, they are its foundation. You know that when darkness comes again, you will move through each step as though guided by invisible hands. And when you finally lie down, turning to your right side, you will feel every gesture gathered behind you, holding you in place. That is how protection truly works in this world. It isn't loud, and it doesn't need to be seen. It lives in the small actions repeated every night, the quiet faith that nothing sacred ever forgets its duty. And when your eyes close, you won't think of danger or death. You'll think of water, salt, herbs, and the warmth of the bed. You'll think of the hands that made these things safe. Then you'll breathe once, slow and certain, and let the dark cover you like a familiar blanket, knowing that every prayer spoken and every gesture finished is still working while you sleep. Your mother's herb chest stands near the window where light reaches it at midday. Inside, wrapped in linen bundles, are plants gathered through the seasons: violet, lettuce, poppy, sage, and mandrake. Each one holds a story, each one a lesson in how the body and spirit find rest. The smell of dried leaves clings to the wood, faint and clean. You know that when sleep falters, this is where help begins. In your world, medicine and faith are not separate. What grows from the earth is part of divine design. Monks record every leaf and root that heals, and your village healer follows their examples. She teaches that the best remedy is made slowly and used rarely. Herbs are not taken as indulgence. They are called upon when rhythm breaks. Violet is the gentlest of them. Its scent cools the head and clears the air. A few petals in warm water bring calm, and crushed leaves placed under the pillow help ease feverish dreams. When the nights grow long, your mother dries entire bundles and hangs them above the hearth, letting their perfume drift through the house. The smell alone seems to lower the pulse. Next comes lettuce, the common plant that physicians treat as sacred. They say it draws heat downward, cooling the blood and quieting the heart. You've watched your mother steep the leaves in warm water with a drop of honey. The drink tastes faintly bitter, but it slows racing thoughts. Some call it the poor man's poppy. On nights when fear or grief refuse to rest, this mild potion saves the house from sleeplessness. Poppy is stronger, its beauty both gift and warning. The red flowers grow beyond the fields, their pods filled with milky sap. That sap, dried and ground, becomes medicine for pain, yet too much brings forgetfulness that lasts too long. Your healer keeps a small pouch of it locked away. When a neighbor broke his leg, she mixed a grain of poppy powder with wine and whispered a prayer over it. He slept through his suffering. For sleep alone, though, your family avoids it. Comfort should not borrow from death. Mandrake is the most feared. The root grows thick and twisted, shaped almost like a body. Some say it screams when pulled from the ground, killing whoever hears it. That story keeps foolish hands away. In truth, the root carries strong power. Used sparingly, it brings deep, dreamless sleep. Used carelessly, it silences the heart. Monks preparing for surgery once mixed it with vinegar, hemlock, and boar bile to make a potion called dwale. It could numb pain long enough for the surgeon's knife, but many never woke again. Your family treats mandrake with awe, not use. It stays wrapped in cloth, stored with salt to keep its virtue pure. Sage is the everyday friend. It burns cleanly, drives away sickness, and sweetens the air. Women hang it in windows to ward off pestilence, and a few crushed leaves steeped in milk help soothe throats. When burned before bed, the smoke carries a faint spice that clears the head and prepares the body for sleep. You've seen your mother pass the smoke over each bedpost while saying nothing, as though the scent itself prays for safety. Some nights she mixes herbs for a sleep pillow. She crushes violet, lavender, and thyme, then stuffs them into a small linen pouch. The pillow rests beside your head, not under it, so the scent moves freely. The combination calms the nerves and sweetens the air. When the pillow grows faint, she burns the contents and starts anew. Renewal is part of healing. Your father trusts simpler cures. He drinks warm milk spiced with nutmeg when headaches threaten. He says it softens the mind. The healer claims nutmeg warms the inner humours, balancing the cool of the season. You find the taste strange but comforting, as if the body recognises its purpose even without belief. In winter, when coughs linger, your family prepares syrup of violet and honey. The mixture coats the throat and clears the chest. Taken before bed, it helps breathing stay even through the cold nights. The sweetness lingers, making the last waking thought pleasant. The mind, softened by it, slides easily toward dreams. Herbs are not only swallowed or burned, some are worn. Peasants tie sprigs of rosemary to their belts for protection and tuck lavender under caps to keep lice away. Before bed, your mother sometimes lays a single bay leaf near your pillow to ward off bad dreams. The leaf dries quickly and curls by morning, proof that it has done its work. In the monastery garden, the herbarium stands like a living library. Rows of valerian, chamomile, and balm grow beside each other, each with labelled stakes written in Latin. The monks believe God gave each plant its own virtue, and they study the balance between warming and cooling effects. When travellers pass through, they receive small bags of dried herbs tied with twine, tokens of health as much as faith. The healer in your village learned from one such monk years ago. She taught your mother that balance matters more than strength. Too much heat drives away sleep. Too much cold weakens the heart. The ideal mixture warms gently and cools slowly, guiding the body to its middle ground. You've seen her test remedies by smell alone, saying, "If it calms my nose, it will calm the mind." Before each use, your mother blesses the herbs. She traces a small cross in the air and whispers, "As you heal the body, guard the soul." This blend of medicine and devotion keeps fear from taking hold. Even if the potion fails, the act itself brings peace. The mind, convinced it is cared for, yields more easily to rest. Children learn these customs young. You remember gathering violets with your mother in early spring, the air damp and full of bees. She taught you to cut, not pull, the stems, so the roots stay alive for next year. Each time the basket filled, she pressed your hand to your chest and said, "This is what calm feels like. Keep it." Even now, the scent of crushed violet brings the same stillness. Herbs also shape the home's rhythm. After supper, before the light fades, your mother sweeps the floor with a broom dipped in sage water. The scent spreads through every corner, marking the change from work to rest. She then places a few leaves of lettuce on the table, letting their pale green catch the last sunlight. The house seems to sigh, as if the plants remind it to slow down too. Not every cure grows in soil. Air, warmth, and silence are also medicines. Healers say that rooms filled with smoke or argument breed nightmares. That's why your family keeps the fire steady, the voices soft. Even herbs lose power if the heart is troubled. Peace within the room completes the remedy. Sometimes your mother mixes a thick paste from violet leaves and vinegar for headaches. She spreads it on a cloth and binds it to your forehead. The cool dampness quiets the skin, while the scent slows the breath. You lie there feeling weightless, neither asleep nor awake. When she removes it, the world feels lighter. Remedies like that teach you that sleep begins before the eyes close. In some seasons, herbs fail. Fever comes, or grief stays too long. Then the healer turns to stronger methods. Charms written on parchment, short prayers pinned to clothing, and once a draught of dwale for a dying man's pain. You remember the smell, sharp, almost sour, mixed with wine. It carried him beyond suffering, but he did not wake. After that, your mother stored the mandrake deeper in the chest, wrapped in 3 layers of cloth. She said even looking at it at night could pull dreams too close to death. The balance between healing and harm never leaves your mind. Every herb carries both. That truth keeps respect alive. When you grind sage in a mortar or crush violet between fingers, you remember the rule your mother repeats. Small things calm, big things kill. It sounds harsh, but it keeps hands steady. As the year turns, herbs change with it. Winter's stores run low, and new growth waits beneath frost. You help hang the last of the dried bundles near the hearth, knowing the scent will linger until spring. These remnants carry memory, the proof that nature once bloomed and will again. Even in deepest cold, the smell of green things convinces the mind that renewal is coming. Sleep depends on that belief. The body rests when it trusts that warmth and growth will return. The herbs remind you of that cycle. They are proof that life moves quietly even when unseen. You feel that truth each night as their scent drifts through the dark, softening thought, guiding breath, and drawing you back toward the slow rhythm that holds both healing and faith. When you finally lie down again, the air carries faint traces of everything your family has used: violet's sweetness, sage's dryness, a whisper of peat smoke, and the salt edge of cooled milk. Each scent tells the same story. The body has been tended, the soul watched, the night made safe. You close your eyes. The smell fills the space where fear might enter. The mind, convinced by scent and memory, loosens its hold on waking. Dreams gather like mist over still water. You drift without worry, carried by the quiet medicine of the plants, their strength woven through centuries of trust. And as the last thought fades, you understand why your mother always said, "Sleep listens to the earth before it listens to you." Your home is small, but every space has meaning. The hearth sits at its center, not for beauty, but for life. Heat, light, and comfort all begin there. When the fire burns low, the whole family feels it in the bones. When it burns too bright, rest becomes impossible. You've learned that sleep depends on balance, not abundance. The room where you sleep is both work and sanctuary. By day, it stores tools and baskets. By night, it becomes a chamber of warmth. The change happens in small steps. The table cleared, the bench pushed aside, the fire banked low, and the blanket shaken free of dust. These motions transform the house from labor to peace. The rhythm itself tells your body what time it is. The air smells of peat smoke, wool, and the faint sourness of dried rushes on the floor. You've grown used to it. Comfort doesn't mean absence of odor, it means familiarity. Each scent marks safety. When the air smells wrong, too wet, too cold, too still, you know rest will not come easily. Peasant homes share one large space. Privacy is a luxury few can afford. Everyone sleeps together, parents, children, sometimes grandparents or travelers. The body heat shared between you becomes the night's best blanket. The closeness removes loneliness and wards off the cold that seeps through stone and timber. Some complain of noise or smell, but you find the nearness comforting. The sound of others breathing proves you're not alone in the dark. Your bed sits low, stuffed with straw that needs replacing each season. The tick rustles faintly with every movement. In wealthier homes, beds stand high with carved posts and curtains drawn tight against drafts. The rich sleep on feather mattresses under linen covers. Servants warm their sheets with heated stones wrapped in cloth. Those comforts are distant luxuries, but warmth itself, shared, earned, or stored, is a need you meet the same way. When frost covers the windows and smoke clings to the rafters, the air inside feels thick. That thickness carries heat but also fatigue. You've learned to let a sliver of air slip through the window cloth. Too much and the cold stings the throat. Too little and the room grows stale. The perfect sleep lives in that narrow space between. Light shapes rest as much as heat. When the fire burns low, darkness becomes a texture rather than an emptiness. The glow from the coals makes soft movement along the walls. Shadows rise and sink like breath. This dim light soothes the mind, signaling the day's end more clearly than any clock could. In noble houses, candles burn longer. But even there, people darken rooms before sleeping. They believe, as you do, that sleep grows best in the company of shadow. Sound completes the space. Silence here is never pure. It hums with quiet life. The wind through cracks, the dog shifting, the low rumble of cattle outside, all form a language of reassurance. When noise disappears completely, unease follows. You once stayed in a stone manor where walls were so thick you could hear nothing. You did not sleep well that night. The absence of familiar sound made your body forget its rhythm. Your family's sleeping positions repeat nightly, almost ceremonial. Your father along the wall, you beside him, your mother on the other side with the younger children. The dog curls by the feet, keeping mice from the grain stored under the bed. Each position serves purpose. The strong guard the edges, the small stay in warmth, the animal guards both. Nothing about this arrangement is random. It is survival disguised as routine. You've heard that nobles often sleep apart, husband and wife in separate chambers, servants in corners or halls. They wrap themselves in furs but sometimes wake colder than you. Shared heat is worth more than velvet. You would not trade your crowded bed for a lonely one surrounded by gold. The walls of your home hold the seasons. In summer they breathe, in winter they tighten and groan. You learn to read these sounds. When the wood pops sharply, frost has deepened. When it sighs, the thaw is near. Each noise tells you how much fire to keep and when to open the window for air. Sleep, too, adjusts with the weather, shorter in summer, longer in winter, always obedient to light. On stormy nights, the roof speaks. Rain patters across thatch, slow and even. The rhythm blends with your heartbeat until it feels like one sound. You fall asleep faster during rain than silence. The world outside moves, but the house holds still. The contrast creates calm. The floor is earth, hard and cold, yet familiar. You keep rush mats over it to soften the step. Each few weeks, new rushes replace the old, mixed with herbs to sweeten the smell. When you walk across them at dusk, their faint crunch reminds you of the distance between waking and rest. They are sound markers of evening, the final texture before lying down. The dog's role in this environment is more than company. Its warmth fills the lower edge of the blanket, and its instincts keep danger at bay. If it stirs sharply, the family wakes. If it sighs, everyone stays still. Its senses extend yours while you sleep. People say dogs see spirits. Whether or not that's true, their presence keeps fear small. Your home's few decorations all face east. The wall behind the bed holds a simple wooden cross and a dried garland from last Candlemas. The cross centers the eye in darkness, even when unseen. The garland's scent, faint now, carries memory of spring. These are not ornaments. They are anchors that tell the mind where it is when light disappears. In towns, people sleep above shops and workshops. Streets stay noisy long after dark, filled with carts, horses, and voices. To find peace there, families close shutters tight and hang heavy curtains. The air grows still, thick with smoke and candle wax. They envy your countryside quiet without knowing it. The city offers abundance but steals silence. In monasteries, dormitories line up beds in perfect order. Brothers sleep clothed, ready for prayer at the midnight bell. Windows remain unshuttered to remind them that God watches. Their walls are stone, their blankets coarse. Yet the air there is calm because every sound means discipline, not danger. In that environment, peace comes from obedience rather than warmth. You've noticed that every kind of dwelling, peasant hut, merchant house, noble chamber, monastic dormitory, builds its own version of comfort. Some rely on wealth, others on order. But all share the same goal, to keep the night predictable. Fear breeds in uncertainty. Structure banishes it. When spring arrives, your home breathes differently. The smoke clears faster, the air turns fresh, and insects return to hum through cracks. Nights shorten, so first and second sleeps merge. You fall asleep later, wake earlier, but still follow the same rituals. The rhythm bends with the seasons, never breaks. You once spent a week at your uncle's farm during harvest. The family slept in the barn above the animals, surrounded by the smell of hay and warm hide. The heat was heavy, the air thick, yet sleep came quickly. The animals' breath created a steady wind. You realized that comfort doesn't depend on cleanliness or softness, but on sound and rhythm. The barn felt alive, and life itself is the truest lullaby. In winter, when wind claws at the shutters, you draw closer to the fire. The crackle replaces the sound of insects. Your father adds another peat block before lying down. The glow touches the walls like heartbeat light. Frost may creep across the beams, but warmth holds the center. The house survives by its breathing occupants, and you by theirs. The texture of the night changes with every sound, scent, and movement. Thick blankets and tight spaces create stillness. Open air and faint noises invite gentler dreams. You've learned to sense when a room is ready for sleep, the way farmers sense rain. The signs are small: slower speech, lower fire, soft air, and a certain quiet between heartbeats. Your environment shapes your rest, and in turn, your rest shapes your world. A house that shelters good sleep becomes a home. The air remembers, the walls learn. Each night's breath leaves warmth for the next. Over time, the house itself seems to hum, a rhythm built from thousands of sleeping hours stacked together like rings in wood. When you lie down again, you feel that hum beneath the straw. The floor's chill no longer bites, it simply defines the edge of warmth. The fire whispers, the rushes sigh, and the walls hold steady. You close your eyes, knowing the night outside may change, but within these walls, the pattern endures. You drift off, surrounded by the simplest architecture of peace: wood, earth, fire, breath. No gold, no glass, no feather beds could improve it. The perfection lies not in comfort, but in balance. This is the environment that has taught generations how to rest, how to trust the dark, and how to wake each morning whole. Seasons decide how you sleep. Every change in light, air, and sound rewrites the rhythm of rest. The sun's rise and fall govern everything: how long you work, eat, and pray, and how many hours your body allows for sleep. You never fight these patterns, you move within them. In winter, night rules the land. Darkness arrives early and lingers long after the bell for morning prayers. The cold thickens the air so breath hangs like smoke. The hearth becomes the center of the world. You sleep longer, sometimes 14 hours from dusk to dawn, broken only by the quiet waking in the middle. The two-sleep rhythm thrives in this season because the dark itself demands it. The first sleep begins soon after supper. Firelight flickers across faces as you settle into the straw. Outside, frost hardens the ground. Inside, warmth pools close to skin. The body uses more energy in cold weather, so rest feels heavier, deeper. When you wake between sleeps, the pause stretches longer. Some families mend clothes or shell beans by the fire. Others whisper prayers. You drink water cooled beside the wall and listen to wind through the thatch. The sound confirms that the house still stands against winter. Food and fuel decide how well you sleep. In harsh months, your family eats stews thick with root vegetables and drinks small beer instead of water. The heaviness calms the stomach but slows digestion. You've noticed that rich meals shorten dreams. The healer says warmth in the belly steals fire from the mind. To balance it, you keep the fire lower when you sleep, trusting breath and blankets more than flame. The smell of peat and smoke seeps into everything: hair, blankets, even dreams. You once dreamed of walking through fields made of ash, soft and grey, the sky red like coals. When you told your mother, she smiled. "That's the smell of winter," she said. "It followed you to sleep." In winter, morning feels like another element, not a time. The sun hides behind frost clouds until the second sleep ends. When light finally returns, it's weak, but precious. You wake, slowly, the way a fire wakes when coaxed from embers. People say that good winter rest makes strong spring work, and you believe it. The months of stillness prepare the muscles for labor and the mind for faith. When spring arrives, the pattern shifts. Nights shorten, and the two sleeps merge into one long, light rest. The air loses its bite, so windows open for the first time in months. You wake earlier without effort, stirred by birds and the smell of thawing earth. The house fills with sound, wind in the thatch, chickens calling, water dripping from the roof. You miss the deep stillness of winter, but welcome the ease of morning light. Sleep now feels lighter, more fragile. Dreams scatter easily. The healer blames the quickening of blood as the sun warms the world. She recommends violet water to calm the pulse and evening prayers said outside so the body learns the new air. Your family follows her advice. The smell of wet soil becomes part of your nightly rhythm, linking breath to season. By midsummer, darkness lasts only a few hours. Work stretches late into the evening, and you fall asleep from exhaustion rather than ritual. Fires burn small because the air itself carries heat. The rushes stay green longer, and the dog sleeps near the door instead of the bed. The house breathes easily. During these months, the first sleep often vanishes. You sleep once, straight through the short night. The bell for matins sometimes sounds before you've even turned once on the straw. Yet this single rest feels enough. Sunlight begins early, warming your face before your eyes open. You rise with a body already ready for movement. Summer dreams are brief and bright. They mirror daylight, quick, vivid, easily forgotten. You dream of running rivers, of wheat moving like cloth, of sweat drying on skin. These visions leave no burden. The healer says that short dreams cleanse the mind without tiring it. The world itself moves too fast for long visions. The only danger in summer sleep is heat. Nights when air refuses to cool bring restlessness. You roll between damp sheets, searching for a patch of unheated straw. Your mother fans the air with a folded cloth. Your father opens the door to the yard. Cool air drifts in, carrying the smell of grass. You fall asleep again only when the smell settles. Every house learns its own way of taming summer. Autumn returns balance. Work slows, and nights grow longer again. The first sleep comes back naturally. You feel gratitude when it does. It feels like meeting an old friend. The air turns crisp, making blankets welcome. The smell of apples drying by the hearth replaces the sweetness of summer grass. Autumn teaches moderation. The body still carries summer's heat, but the nights require covering. You bank the fire carefully, not too high, not too low. Too much warmth brings sweating, which wakes you. Too little brings shivering, which wakes you too. Sleep rests in the space between those two edges. Rain becomes the new lullaby. You lie awake listening to it patter on thatch, steady and kind. People say angels walk in rain. You believe that might be true because it sounds like footsteps fading toward heaven. The rhythm draws your body downward into calm. When frost returns, you know the cycle is complete. The house gathers itself again for long nights. Straw is replaced, blankets thickened, herbs renewed. The first fire of deep winter fills the air with familiar smoke. The family gathers close, and you feel as though the months have folded back to the same beginning. Yet nothing repeats exactly. Each winter brings small changes, one more child grown, one parent older, one roof beam creaking louder than before. Sleep records those differences silently. Light is the true ruler of all these shifts. You notice that your body obeys it even when you resist. When the sky darkens early, eyelids grow heavy. When dawn lingers, you wake without thought. No one in your world speaks of circadian rhythms, but everyone lives by them. Bells, birds, and weather take the place of clocks. The heart learns their schedule. Faith reinforces the pattern. The church divides day and night into canonical hours: matins, lauds, prime, terce, sext, none, vespers, compline. Each prayer links humans to the same divine rhythm. You live inside those beats, whether or not you count them. Sleep, prayer, and labor interlock like cogs in a wheel. Some nights the bell misfires or storms silence it. Those hours feel strange, unanchored. You lie awake listening for a sound that doesn't come. Without the bell, the boundary between first and second sleep blurs. You understand then how much your body depends on rhythm it did not create. You've heard travelers speak of southern lands where nights stay warm and short all year. They claim people there sleep less but more often, taking small rests through the day. The idea sounds wild to you, yet it makes sense. Every place invents its own rhythm to fit light and temperature. The mistake would be forcing one pattern onto another. Seasons teach patience. You can't command the sun, so you learn to yield. When days shorten, you slow. When they lengthen, you move. The same humility governs sleep. Fighting it brings nothing. Following it brings peace. The world itself models rest each year, dying in winter, waking in spring. You only mirror what nature already does perfectly. Your own body tells time more clearly than any bell. In deep winter, you crave stillness. In summer, you crave motion. The muscles, blood, and lungs all shift together, never asking permission. Understanding that is freedom. The mind no longer blames itself for wakefulness or drowsiness. It listens instead. Now, as you sit near the fire in early spring, you can feel change arriving again. The light through the oiled window glows softer, longer. The air smells faintly of thawing earth. You know tonight's rest will be lighter than last week's. You accept it. You prepare the bed, check the herbs, and wait for dusk. The rhythm of sleep is not a cage, but a map. Following it brings you safely from one season to the next. You trust it the way sailors trust stars. The pattern never lies, even when clouds hide it. When you lie down that night, the smell of wet air drifts through the window cloth. The fire burns low, the same as always, but the air feels new. You breathe it in, close your eyes, and sense the earth turning beneath you. A slow movement that carries both night and day, sleep and waking, winter and spring. You don't have to understand the motion. You only have to rest within it. You sleep, knowing that every season will return, that the body will remember before the mind does, and that the rhythm written into creation never forgets its song. You wake with a memory that isn't yours. A dream lingers, quiet but detailed. A field without wind, a bell swinging with no sound. Your mother's face younger than you've ever seen it. You lie still, eyes closed, trying to hold the image before it dissolves. In your world, dreams are never random. They are messages, sometimes from heaven, sometimes from deeper within yourself. Everyone around you treats dreams seriously. The church warns against trusting them too much, yet priests themselves speak of visions. Peasants tell stories of saints appearing in sleep, while scholars debate whether dreams rise from the stomach's vapors or descend from God's will. You live between those explanations. Both seem true. Your family divides dreams into three kinds. Some come from the day's labor, the memory of fieldwork, arguments, or hunger. Others come from the soul, messages of comfort or warning. A few come from darker places, born from sin, fever, or fear. The difference shows itself in how you feel when you wake. A good dream leaves calm behind. A bad one leaves noise. Your mother believes in the signs. She keeps a small book of interpretations, copied from a neighbor's priest decades ago. In its pages, she reads that dreaming of clear water means peace. Dreaming of broken walls means danger. Dreaming of animals means change. When a dream troubles her, she sprinkles holy water on the door and burns sage. The smell fills the house, thin and sharp, cutting through stale air. You've seen the difference afterward. The air feels lighter, as if fear itself left with the smoke. You remember the first time you dreamed of fire. You were a child, and the whole house burned in your mind, bright as day. You woke sobbing, sure it was prophecy. Your father only nodded and said, "Fire cleans, even when it scares." Days later, he cleared the chimney and found a bird's nest blocking it. After that, no smoke filled the room again. You learned that dreams don't need to be perfect to be useful. Physicians say dreams are born from digestion, that food creates vapors which rise to the brain and paint pictures on the soul's eye. They advise light meals and cool herbs before sleep. You find their logic comforting. It turns mystery into order. Yet when your dreams carry the weight of memory or warning, the explanation feels too small. Some things move deeper than vapors. At night, when you fall asleep to the rhythm of breath and fire, dreams open like doors. The first ones are harmless, short fragments of the day. Then the deeper ones come, slow, colored, shaped like stories. They arrive without effort. You walk through them as though you belong to another time. One dream returns often. You stand at the edge of a river you've never crossed. The water glows faintly in moonlight, showing the reflection of stars but not the moon itself. On the far bank stands someone you know but can't name. You always wake before they speak. Your mother says such dreams mean unfinished duty. Your father says they mean nothing. You think they mean both. Dreams like these fill the hours of the second sleep. The body rests while the mind travels. People say the soul wanders to visit those it loves or fears. That's why prayers before bed ask for protection, not only for the house, but for the spirit itself. To sleep without prayer is to travel without guard. In monasteries, monks record their dreams as warnings or encouragements. One brother once wrote of a vision in which he saw the Virgin handing him a loaf of bread. The next morning, the abbot ordered a fast broken only by bread at noon. Such coincidences strengthen faith. Dreams become part of divine conversation. You once told a monk about your river dream. He smiled and said, "The Lord sends bridges only when you need to cross." You still think of that line each time the dream returns. Its meaning changes as you do. That's the nature of dreams. They speak in the language of your own change. Sometimes the village healer visits to interpret dreams tied to sickness. She listens carefully, asks about color, sound, and smell. Then she prescribes herbs based on what the dream reveals. If someone dreams of choking smoke, she burns sage to clear the lungs. If they dream of drowning, she gives a warming tonic to dry the body's excess moisture. She treats the body and the dream together. never apart. You've heard of nightmares that press the chest and steal breath. People call them night hags. Some say they're spirits. Others say they're a heaviness of blood. When they visit, sleepers wake, gasping. Your mother keeps a small iron key under the pillow to repel them. Whether it works through faith or fear doesn't matter. Belief itself is medicine. Not all dreams carry dread. Some bring peace so deep that waking feels like falling upward. In such moments, you sense a clarity no daylight thought can reach. You remember each detail, the smell of rain, the sound of bells, the texture of your own voice speaking words you didn't know you knew. You wake certain those words mattered, yet they fade before speech can catch them. People share dreams freely here. At breakfast, you listen as neighbors recount their night visions like travelers describing far countries. The details matter less than the telling. Dreams remind everyone that the unseen world touches daily life. The baker's wife dreamed of a black rooster, and 2 days later, the priest's rooster went missing. The old shepherd dreamed of snow in midsummer, and a week later, hail ruined part of his crop. Coincidence or connection, no one dares dismiss it. Even animals appear in this language. When your dog whines in its sleep, your mother says it's seeing ancestors. The church frowns at that idea, yet no priest can explain why dogs dream. You watch the animal's paws twitch, its mouth move silently, and you believe she might be right. Sleep unites all creatures under one law. You've noticed that dreams follow the seasons too. In winter, they're heavy and slow, full of fire and warmth. In summer, they flicker and vanish, bright but brief. Cold makes thoughts settle. Heat scatters them. Even the unseen obeys nature's rhythm. Some dreams return years apart but unchanged. They feel older than you, as though inherited. Your grandmother once said that families share certain dreams, that the dead whisper in symbols so descendants remember. You've dreamed of her spinning wool in silence, though she died before you could speak. When you told your mother, she smiled but said nothing. The church teaches caution. Most dreams, they say, are vanity, shadows cast by restless minds. Yet even priests admit that Joseph and Daniel were guided by dreams. The contradiction stays unresolved, which means you live comfortably inside it. Faith leaves room for mystery. When sickness comes, dreams grow strange. Fever burns away the order of reason. Colours sharpen, sounds echo. You've seen neighbours mutter prayers while half asleep, faces pale and eyes open. The healer says those dreams don't count. They belong to the body, not the soul. Still, people remember them, fearing they reveal something real. For your family, the line between body and soul blurs each night. A good dream soothes both. A bad dream troubles both. That's why you end every day with prayer, not because you expect visions, but because you wish to rest in peace no matter what comes. Your favourite dreams are the ones that feel ordinary, walking through fields, hearing bells, sitting by a fire. These carry no message, no warning, only reflection. They show life as it is, but gentler, the way daylight might look if it had learned to whisper. When morning comes after such dreams, you wake grateful. You open your eyes to the same ceiling beams, the same fading coals, the same soft breathing around you, but something inside feels reordered. The mind has rearranged itself quietly. Worries that filled the evening now feel solved, though you can't explain how. Dreams in your world are not entertainment. They are conversation with what you cannot name. They remind you that the soul keeps working while the body sleeps. Some nights that work feels heavy, others it feels like grace. Either way, you trust it. You close your eyes again, thinking about the river, the bridge you haven't yet seen, and the face that waits on the far side. The image comforts you now. You no longer fear the silence of that place. You understand what your father meant when he said fire cleans, even when it scares. Dreams do the same. You drift once more toward rest, feeling both awake and asleep, both real and imagined. Around you, the world breathes softly. Fire cools to embers. Outside, A bird stirs before dawn. Inside, you feel the mind finishing its secret work, tidying thought, stitching feeling, storing memory. When you finally rise, the dream fades like smoke in sunlight, but it has done its work. The air feels lighter, your heart slower, your body sure of its place. You step into the new day, knowing that sleep didn't end. It simply changed shape, turning from vision back into life. The fire has burned to ash. Morning presses faint light through the window cloth. You stretch beneath the blanket and feel how slow the world still moves. Sleep here is not escape, it is rhythm. Every breath, every pause, every silence through the night followed a pattern older than memory. You think about all that kept you safe. The herbs drying by the hearth, the dog curled by your feet, the whispered prayers, the warmth of others near you. None of it promised perfect rest. It only promised order, a way to meet darkness without fear. That was enough. The medieval world understood something we've forgotten. Sleep was not a task to complete, it was a relationship to tend. People prepared for it as carefully as they prepared for worship or harvest. They knew the body and spirit could not be forced into stillness. They had to be invited. You remember how every act through the night carried purpose. The evening fire reduced to ember, the prayer whispered before lying down, the herbs steeped to ease the mind, the quiet waking after the first sleep, not as failure but as part of the design. Each moment taught patience. Each pause said, rest will return when it chooses. Their wisdom was simple, follow the dark instead of fighting it. When night stretched long, they divided sleep into two halves instead of one struggle. When dreams came, they listened. When fear visited, they placed symbols of faith nearby. They didn't chase silence, they built it. We live differently now, surrounded by light that refuses to dim, noise that never fades. We treat waking as success and sleep as surrender. But if the old rhythm still lived in us, we might remember that the mind needs darkness the way crops need night rain. Their way wasn't perfect. They suffered cold, sickness, and superstition. Yet in the midst of hardship, they found calm. They slept not because they escaped the world, but because they trusted it enough to close their eyes. The truth that guided them still applies. Sleep is not measured by hours, but by harmony. When warmth, sound, and spirit align, rest follows naturally. When one falls out of rhythm, the others wait. You cannot rush it. You can only make space for it to arrive. The first sleep, the waking, the second rest, all were lessons in acceptance. They knew every night carried interruption, and that peace came not from control, but from readiness. That lesson endures. If you find yourself awake tonight, remember them. Imagine the faint smell of violet, the sound of rain on thatch, the small warmth of shared breath. These memories belong to all who have ever slept beneath the same turning sky. Let them remind you that sleeplessness is not failure, it is the body listening to the old rhythm again. Darkness has always been a teacher. It taught your ancestors patience, taught them trust, taught them that stillness is not emptiness but balance. It asks the same of you now. You lie back, eyes half open, as morning light spreads softly across the room. The world wakes, but part of you still rests in that ancient calm, the quiet between bells, the hush between breaths. Sleep is no longer something to win. It is something to join. And as you breathe, you realize what they must have known all along. Rest is not the absence of waking. It is the proof that life moves even in silence. You let that thought fade. The fire sighs. The room settles. Night and day trade places once again, and peace, the oldest rhythm of all, continues without your help.